Peace, man. Today I want to talk to you about peace, love, and dope. No, seriously, I'm going to talk to you about dope. And I'm going to talk to you about it seriously, even though I have this funny looking outfit on, which is actually kind of fun. I raided JP Sears' closet, if you know who he is. Actually, somebody hook me up with him. I would love to do an interview with him. That would be really fun. Anyway, the other day on Facebook, I posted about the Sisters of the Valley, who are nuns down in Merced, California, which is in the Central Valley, and they are making CBD and cannabis infused oils and salves, and they sell them online. And after I posted it, I got a lot of interest, and I tagged them, and people started asking questions. And so this really is an important topic that I want to talk to you about, because CBD oil, or cannabinoid, and THC are constituents of marijuana, pot, weed, cannabis, okay? And they have medicinal properties, as many of you have probably heard. And for the longest time, I was really like, I don't want anything to do with that. It reminds me of my hippie high school days when, we used to smoke pot in the bathroom. Shh, don't tell anyone. But then I totally, I used to be a party girl. I used to drink, I used to smoke pot. And then when I was about 28 years old, I became a vegetarian. I started doing yoga, meditating, and I just quit all of that stuff. So when all of this stuff started coming up about marijuana and pot, I was really not interested at all. And then I watched the program Weeds, which I highly recommend you watch. You can watch it on YouTube, and it is a documentary that was done by Sanjay Gupta on CNN, and he went around and talked about the whole industry and what's going on, and about a little girl named Charlotte who was having like 300 seizures a day, little toddler, and the only thing that helped her, she was like on all these different medications. And by the way, she's not the only one. There's many little children that have had this issue. And she was having all the seizures. None of the medications were working. She couldn't live a normal life, nor could her parents and her family. And she got going on CBD oil. So CBD oil, or cannabinoids, if I'm even saying that right. I don't know all that much about it myself yet. I want to find out. But I did want to tell you what I do know so we can all learn together. And anyway, she stopped having the seizures. And so the CBD oil is non-psychoactive, which means it doesn't get you high. The THC, which is in the marijuana, is what gets you high. And when they're in combination, they can be in different ratios and have different effects. And so some of the many benefits that I have heard about personally from people have gotten off their narcotic medications, their painkillers, gotten rid of tumors or reduced them significantly, helped with PTSD, anxiety, depression, sleep. These are all things that CBD oil and cannabis are known for helping people with. And I personally know all those things I just mentioned. I personally know people who have benefited with all of those things. And so at some point I started, really getting interested and looking into it. And I currently live in California. So I got a medical marijuana license, and I went to a local dispensary. I've been there, a few times, and I started, talking to them. And the man that owns it actually had a loved one who had cancer, who benefited from the cannabis. And so he, he has a dispensary, and they sell, the different kinds. And I've gone in there, like I said, a few times, and asked them lots of questions. And another benefit is that it's actually helps people get off the hard drugs. We have a drug addiction problem in this country that is literally epidemic. It's getting like crazy with the meth and the crack and the heroin, and the CBD oil and the THC and cannabis are actually helping people to get off those hard drugs. So there's many. So one time I was in the dispensary. This is what I want to tell you. It's also very helpful for getting off the alcohol. And I was in the dispensary one day and I was asking these guys, a lot of questions. And there was a man standing next to me who was, buying something. He was actually buying these little edible things called Chiba Chews. And I said, oh, do you mind if I ask, what do you use it for? I'm learning about this, and what do you use it for, and how has it helped you? And he said, I was an alcoholic. He said, I used to come home every night, and after work, the first thing I'd do is, crack a beer, and I'd drink for the rest of the night till I'd pass out. And he said, it's completely changed my life. I started having the Chiba Chews, the edibles. He doesn't, do the smoke or anything like that. And like I said, you can get it in different ratios. So some won't get you high at all. Some will get you really high. And depending on, the ratio of the CBD to the THC. And some is like, somewhere in between where it has this, kind of relaxing effect. So he gets the one that's kind of on the in between. And he said he goes home now and he has it and he quit drinking. So there are many benefits. And I wanted to tell you about my own personal experience with it. And first of all, I started hearing about it and people getting off the painkillers like I was telling you. And I had a client who lived in Colorado and she was in a head-on collision. She's, got pins all over and she's been on disability for many, many years, in lots of pain all the time. She hates taking the drugs and the narcotics. And, I said, hey, why don't you check, I'm hearing all this stuff about the cannabis, the marijuana, I don't really know that much about it, but why don't you check it out? And so she did. She got, this was actually before recreational marijuana became legal in Colorado. So she actually went to a doctor and got a prescription and went to, they told her, the particular one that they recommended for her. And just, so here's a word of caution I'm going to tell you about too. So basically she went home and she had it at the dosage they told her, and she had a horrible experience. She got the edibles, okay, the stuff that you eat, so it wasn't smoking pot, and she had a horrible experience, and I felt really bad about it. And the reason I'm telling you this is because if you're gonna check it out, which I highly recommend you do if you're having any of the problems that I just mentioned and others, do your research, find out what would be right for you by talking to knowledgeable people that know. And I'm actually hoping to do a couple interviews with people, the Sisters of the Valley. I would really love to go down there. They're only 30 minutes away from me. So I want to go down there and talk to them and find out more. But anyway, back to my client. So what happened with her is she had this horrible experience, and she's like, I never want to go near that stuff again. She said, I was really, really high and I was paranoid all day and I didn't want to talk to anybody. And, fortunately, she's on disability, so she didn't have to go to work, and I felt really terrible. So the moral of the story is, do your research. And then also, even if they tell you, somebody who's knowledgeable about it, prescribe something for you, be sure that you start with just a little bit and test the waters, because, fast forward from that a little bit, I decided at one point I was going, through some really stressful times, and I was really having a lot of problems sleeping, and I was trying, like everything that I usually recommend and that would work in the past, my herbs and homeopathic remedies and all of that stuff. And, and it just wasn't working. And so finally I, thought, hey, I want to check this out myself. And so I mentioned it to my dear friend, Tara, who I've known since I was 12 years old. We used to smoke pot in the bathroom when we were in high school. And, and I told her that I was, thinking about checking it out. She said, oh, well, that's funny you should mention it, because I've been using it for the past couple of years. She goes, and I didn't want to tell you because, you've been Miss Purity for so long, and I thought you'd be really against it. And in fact, I said, well, you're right. I would have been, I'm only just recently, opening up to it and checking it out. And so what happened was she came to visit and she made these, brownies. She made coconut oil infused, cannabis infused coconut oil that she made these brownies out of. And she said, well, I just have this little, square. And she gave me a little square. She said, this is how much I have. And so you probably want to have half as much, because she knows that I'm really sensitive and I had never had it before. And so I had like a quarter of the brownie, okay, because I knew, I was like, I'm really sensitive. I'm not taking any chances, especially since this client had told me she had these problems. And I was up all night. It did not help me sleep. I was up all night. It was a horrible experience. I was like wriggling and, what people call, I learned later, they call a body high from having the edibles. And it was a really bad experience. I had horrible dreams. I was like hallucinating. I was like, oh my gosh. Now, she didn't have that experience at all. It just helps her to, it just helped her to sleep when she was having, like some kind of menopausal issues. And so, anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, that is horrible. I don't, ever want to try that again, and I was just like, clearly it affects people differently. And, fast forward, at some point, I did try some other ones in very small amounts in kind of different ratios, and the CBD, which has, I believe it's less than 3% THC in order to be called CBD, which is available all over the country. You can order it online on on the internet and in lots of actually I don't know if you can buy it in stores yet in states where it's not legal, but anyway, so the CBD oil, and it didn't have any THC or less than 3%, and I had really good experiences with that. And in fact, when my beloved kitty Leroy was dying, I actually gave him some, and it really helped to to calm him down. And I'm sure it helped with the pain too. I think he was in pain, but it really helped him to calm down and kind of relax a bit when he was going through the end of his life. So anyway, that's kind of as much as I know. When I go back to Colorado, I would love to do the cannabis dispensary tour and learn more about it. So and bring you guys along with me so I can teach you, or so we can all learn together. And I also would love to go down to meet the Sisters of the Valley, who I think they're awesome from what I've read about them. And then also I also talked to, this is the other thing I was going to tell you. I also talked to this woman. I can't remember her name right now, but from Mystic Organics. I'll put the links below. And I talked to her for like an hour on the phone. She's out in Santa Cruz, lovely lady. And she was telling me about how people are getting off the hard drugs, using the marijuana to help ease the symptoms of the withdrawal, and to help from getting re-addicted to the hard drugs. And I know that's controversial for some people, but hey, if that's an issue for you or somebody that you love, it may be a great transition. And that's actually, she's out in Santa Cruz, and I would love to go out and meet them and talk to them as well. It's like a family-owned business, and anyway, it's definitely worth checking out, you guys. Please do. And I know I have a lot of natural healthcare practitioner friends and chiropractors, and this is something that is really worth checking out for your patients and your clients as well, to to spread the word. So what else? I had one more thing I was gonna. Oh, I was gonna tell you. If you have a good, like I told you, I don't have that much experience with it, and I haven't bought any online of the CBD oil that's non-psychoactive from any other state or anything. So if you have any good resources that are reputable sources, please put them down in the links, in the comments. You can put links, and so we can all start helping each other out. And I have no affiliation with the Sisters of the Valley or Mystic Organics in Santa Cruz. They're just people I've connected with very little actually, but I do want to learn more. So anyway, that's it for now. Peace out. Literally, peace out.